extremely short and beaten nails. This is what Anna's nails used to look like before we started working. But ever since we started doing extensions all the time during 2 years now, and even when I'm away, Anna's still going to the salon and trying to keep some kind of product on her nails, you can see this huge difference. Her nail beds look completely different now, which means today we are going to try our first ever sculptured acrylic nails on forms. Let's get started! Hello guys, this is Anastasia. Anna went to the beauty school as the model, so she did this set for free. One nail is lost and now we need to remove this product. Students were doing her nails, so we can see some basic beginners' mistakes, such as the product application was too thick, and I suspect that they used dual forms to do these nails. First, I'm going to push back the cuticles using orange wood stick. Anna used to have hard cuticles and I always struggled to push them back, and even now they're still a bit challenging, but compared to what we had at the beginning, I can see so much progress. I at least can push them back. This is the only nail that was broken, and you can see that there's no free edge on her natural nail as well. This is crucial for nail biters to do infills on time and try not to break nails, because ideally they always need to be covered with the product. Then we proceed to product removal. I'm using carbide bead with blue abrasive mark. I think they used polygel, at least this product does feel like polygel. And let's see what's underneath. Even though the product application was very thick and there is too much product, I cannot say that there is too much product lifting. As usual, I take a look at the nails from different angles first, and then I decide maybe we could even do feel for these nails. But as I started to remove product on each nail, I realized that no, it's actually better if we start over. As I was filing off the product, I noticed something white and I thought that this is product lifting near the cuticle, nothing unusual here. Product lifting was there. Can you see this white yellowish spot in the upper right corner near the cuticle? We are going to file it off. But when I removed the product lifting, I realized that this is not everything. Unfortunately, we have something else there. I filed the product around the lifting to remove it, and then we need to say goodbye lifting. Do you guys see this red pink ridge and white bump after it? This is not the product or the product lifting, and this is not cuticle or dry skin as well. This is part of the Anna's nail plate, which was badly overfiled. It could happen during dry manicure, during nail prep, or maybe they were filing the product after application with a drill bit. It happened a few weeks ago, and back then this ridge was hiding under the epinicium, but now as it's grown we can see it now. So this is part of the nail plate too. What do we do now? First of all, this white part of the nail plate is overfiled part already, and I'm going to slightly clean them because they are not growing back. It's kind of the same as peeled nail, right? These layers are not going to glue back anyways. But we're not supposed to touch the part where the ridge is, because we can overfile her nails even more. So I'm going to be extra careful when doing manicure. I will try not to touch this area, and at the end I'm going to buff the surface of the nail as we prep the nail plate and slightly remove the peeled parts. Whenever you're dealing with damaged nails, your goal is not to damage it even more. That's why we normally need to work more careful, more gentle, maybe slightly slower. This kind of ridges look terrifying sometimes, but this is only physical damage, luckily, because her upper layers of her nail plate were overfiled. But if we seal it with a product now, eventually it's going to grow within a couple months, and then it's going to be okay. But if you're not doing nail extensions, if you have, let's say, natural nails or gel polish overlay, this kind of ridge, once it reaches the stress area, the area of the nail where we need the most strength, if it's going to be thinner or overfiled, it may lead to cracks on the sides or broken nails. Do I have some regular viewers here who've been watching Anna's videos from the very beginning? Did you notice that now she has a free edge and now we need to file it shorter? Because before I never did that because we didn't have to. Her nails were always so short and there was nothing to file and shape. And now we actually need to make them shorter so we can fit the forms. Some of her nails are slightly ski jump, so they are growing upwards. That's why it's better to file them short so we can fit the form and do extensions. I'm not going to make them super short. We always need to have a little bit of the free edge because in this case her nail beds are going to grow longer each time. By the way, they already did. Her nail beds used to be so much shorter. And then we need to prep the nails. This is the nail that had this ridge. It already looks better, right? But it's still damaged and overfiled, so we need to be careful. It's just not as obvious as it was. I take off the surface shine with 180 grit buffer and gently buff off the layers that were already peeled. Prep is a very important part of the nail extensions. If you do it right, the extension's going to last. And if you're dealing with challenging client with short bitten nails, then this part, dry manicure and preparation, are going to take longer than usual, and that's totally fine because I get these questions a lot. Anastasia, sometimes I spend 30, 40, 50 minutes with my clients on a prep, but with some of them it's much faster. And it's exactly the same with me. With some clients it's fast because there's not much to clean, you don't really need to do much prep. With some clients it may take longer, so this is totally normal. And it should not be the reason why we're not going to do our job well. If it's taking longer than needed, I'm still going to work on every single detail on every hangnail just to make sure that it's all nice and clean. Her nails look so beautiful now after the manicure. Let's do extensions. I was super excited to do them, and it was Anna's first nail extensions on forms. She didn't even know that this type of nail extensions exist. Because before we met each other, she went to the salon and they offered tips, and then we tried dual forms. We also tried multiple products already. I think we did fiberglass too, but traditional forms are going to be our first. I apply dehydrator, acid primer, and then I fit the form. I just cannot stop adoring her nail beds because they look so good now. When fitting the form, I make it tapered because we're not going to do long nails for her, and we decided to do her favorite shape as always, which is square. I will be adding some glitter near the cuticles first, so I take these colorful flakes and a little bit of clear acrylic powder, add it near the cuticle. I will use beige nude color on the free edge and on the rest of the nail. First, I'm going to build the free edge. When you're doing this, you need to understand what kind of shape and length you're doing and to make sure that the product is not too thick on the sides. All the thickness should go towards the center where we have apex. I always tell my students to not rush with the product application because this is the most important part of the service. If you do it right, then you will not need to file a lot. You will already have this perfect, consistent, symmetrical shape. So take your time to learn and master product consistency, because if you're working with perfect, correct consistency acrylic beads, it's so much easier. Working with wet beads is not as good. It may cause allergic reactions, and also the product will not be applied so easily. It's just going to flow into the cuticles. Then I take some clear acrylic and add it near the cuticles because we need to seal the flakes and just to make sure that we have this smooth surface. Then I take off the form and slightly pinch the nail. Now it's done. This is pretty easy when you have a free edge, so you can fit the form. But what about this ring finger nail that was broken and so short? It's not possible to fit the form on this one. This is what I'm going to do. I will take some acrylic bead. The consistency should be closer to dry, otherwise it will not be possible to work like this. Apply it on her nail. Once the product sets a little, I'm going to build this platform on air. And yes, the product is touching the skin. I get so many questions about it. You need to make sure that your client is not extremely allergic to acrylic. In this case, I mean, if the person is allergic to acrylic, you will not be able to do any kind of acrylic extensions on them. When you use this technique, it's important to do it right. You are not supposed to apply the product directly on the skin. But if the skin touches the product that is almost set, it's not a problem because the allergic part of the product is uncured product, mostly the monomer. Then we need to wait a couple minutes. I take orange wood stick and separate it from the skin to make sure it's not attached to it. And now we can pretend that we have a regular standard natural nail with the free edge and fit the form under the product. From this point, we are going to do the exact same nail extensions we just did on the previous nail. I'm going to add some flakes near the cuticle. First I add some clear acrylic, then I add the flakes, and then I'm going to build the nail using this beige nude color. If you watched some of my previous videos with Anna, by the way, if you didn't, I have the playlist which is called Anna's Nails Transformations. I recommend you to check it out because I recorded all of our extensions we ever did since the beginning, since her first appointment. Back then, 10 nails were super short and beaten like this nail, so we couldn't fit the form, and I used this exact technique. I applied some product on the edge of her nail and then I sculpted it on air. I didn't use any forms at all. But times change. Anna's nails are not as short and beaten anymore, and now we can use regular forms. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you may have a client and one nail is extremely broken. Then you can use this technique as well. After I added some nude, I'm also going to seal this part with glitter with clear acrylic. I don't seal the entire nail because we already have enough product in the apex area and on the free edge. When Anna first came to me about 3 years ago and she gave me her hands, she folded her fingers like she's hiding them. And I could tell that this was a habit. She always did that, and I've seen that already among my other clients. People who are not happy with how their nails look, they always tend to hide them. And when we did her first extensions, she was shocked. She said she didn't even know that it's possible. And since we started doing more extensions, now I can tell she's holding her hands differently. This is my favorite part of the job, when I can see that I'm not just doing nail transformations and create some pretty nail art, but I'm also helping someone to gain more confidence. And when you're confident about yourself, about how you look, you can do anything. Meanwhile, we're almost done with filing and shaping. I realized that we made them too long. I mean, Anna can have slightly longer nails now, but we still need to keep in mind the length of her nail beds, so it's better to not go too extreme. We should not create nails that have free edge that is longer than her natural nail bed. After filing and shaping, sometimes I do buffing just to make sure that we have a completely smooth surface, and finally we're going to seal it with a glossy top coat because we want to see all this glitter. Cure in LED and we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this nail transformation, and if you're first time here, consider subscribing, as I post tutorials and nail transformations just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye.